Hey everyone, my name is Carla Wills and you're about to learn more about me here on the Audio Infusion Green Room Sessions. So I was the Director of News and Public Affairs, which meant that I worked with all of the talk programming here at WEAA, including at the time, the Mark Steiner show and all the other two-way talk programming in the evening that basically had that 7 p.m. block. And I also was the executive producer of First Edition, this is the second iteration, with Sean Yos, which came on from 5 to 7 every day. And so those kinds of shows were the ones where the community really got to participate in the conversation around issues that mattered to people here in Baltimore and nationally. And so it was really important that we got the right guests on every day to, discuss the issues. Sometimes we had to deal with breaking news. And it was really some of the most important work, I want to say, that we did, because again, it was, reaching out to subject matter experts and the folks who could really address the concerns of the community, but also making sure that the community had a voice. And that was the important thing. And I think that's what differentiated WEAA, because the community was always part of the conversation. I was so sad to leave WEAA, but man, Democracy Now! Was an opportunity I couldn't pass up. One thing that I'd always wanted to do is really, get my feet wet in television, and Democracy Now! Gave me that opportunity. So what a lot of people don't know is that Democracy Now! Is both a television and radio show. And while I was here at WEAA, I would always have to queue up Democracy Now! Because it was the show that came on after the morning show. So to have the opportunity to work with Amy Goodman and Juan Gonzalez and, people who know not just the news, but the reason why things are happening and the context and the framework for everything that's going on now, being able to situate what's happening in the world in the context and in the framework of the history that led up to it. We wonder why such and such a thing is happening, but at Democracy Now! We were always able to give the news that kind of context that made things make sense, and we were always about making sure the activists, the organizers, the people who were in the streets always had a voice. And the idea is not to give voice to the voiceless. People have voices. It's just you got to pass the mic and get out of the way. And that's what we did at Democracy Now! And it was just a joy to be there and work with them for almost 6 years. Well, I was sad to leave all of WEAA is family and it's still family. And I think, yes, people were, happy to see me go to Democracy Now! But another thing I think I did at Democracy Now! Is I always bring Baltimore with me wherever I go. So anytime there was an opportunity to get people from Baltimore on the show, there were people who would be on WEAA who I knew were great. I'd bring them on to Democracy Now! Anytime there was a news story out of Baltimore, I'd make sure I was the one producing it and brought in the people that we used to have here on WEAA, because, it's home always. So it doesn't matter where you are. And I think that's just an important lesson. Wherever you go, and whether I'm back in New York or wherever, know where you're from and know who your people are. And always look out for them and take care of them. And that's what I did at Democracy Now! So I love my folks here at EAA. Wow, yeah, that was one of those other weird little hats. I wore a lot of hats here at WEAA. And at the time, Marcellus Shepard, the bass man, was the music director, and I showed, I guess, such interest in music programming. You know, music has always been a part of who I am. I studied music as a little kid and always was into music. And I ended up really helping him with some of the programming, working with some of these labels, programming stuff into the system. So, you know, identifying, you know, great music when it came out, new music. So yeah, that was just the odd little, you know, extra hat I had as assistant music director for a bit. National Geographic, wow, now that is a place that I never would have seen myself, but it makes so much sense in hindsight. One, it's a magazine, and two, I'm the manager of audio there. So I come from a magazine background and came from audio, from magazines to audio. And so now I'm at a magazine where I work in audio. It makes sense. And not only that, but the science you know, background that I have works well in National Geographic. All the great opportunities I had, particularly at Democracy Now!, going to being a part of, like, you know, the UN Climate Conference, or traveling the world and really working in some of the areas, you know, in environmental justice, and, you know, that really positioned me for a role at National Geographic, and being able to do the kind of audio content we're doing now with podcasts, award-winning work like Into the Depths, which is a podcast that came out last year, which just won a Jackson Wild Award, which is basically like the Oscars of the environmental community. That's one of the shows I'm super proud of. It is featuring a National Geographic explorer who's an African-American woman, Tara Roberts. She traveled the world with a group of black scuba divers who are searching for the wrecks of ships that trafficked Africans during the transatlantic slave trade. And we made a whole podcast series out of that, and it is so powerful and really dynamic. And that's the kind of work I get to do at National Geographic, really dealing with science and history. And I've been able to do work that's really meaningful to me and to, you know, my people. So yeah, it was a surprise to me, but it's some of the most rewarding work I've been able to do in my career. Future plans, I have an interesting project that I don't think I can say a whole lot about yet, but it is a podcast, and it has to do with Baltimore and house music. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm doing, really near future, another series at Nat Geo that is kind of an extension of the Into the Depths series, where we traveled with a group of descendants from the Clotilda, which is the last documented slave ship to reach the U.S. And we traveled with those descendants to Benin, West Africa, and they are kind of tracing the steps of their ancestors. So that's really powerful, and that comes out in February 2024. So I'm really excited about some of the work I have coming up. Thank you to Audio Infusion, to Patrick Scientific, to everyone at WEAA who really is so instrumental in giving me the start and helping me be where I am now. Always thank yous to my family and to my baby girls. They're not babies, they're in their 30s, but they're always my babies. And thank you to Baltimore, because it's home and it's my people.
Thanks for watching. Hi, this is Sherry with the Audio Infusion. Please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you can be notified when new videos arrive.